So, for this lesson, we are going to move on to making professional grade websites using something called a library. A library in programming speak is basically code that's been pre-written for you. The library that we're going to be using for this lesson is called Bootstrap. So if you could just Google the word Bootstrap, and you'd see that it says Bootstrap, the most popular HTML, CSS, and JS library in the world? Question mark? I think it is. So you click that, it'll take you to this website. And what they do is they have pre-written a lot of the things that you might want to use to build a great looking website. So if you just click on this thing that says documentation, and you go down to components, you'll see that they have all of these different things that you've seen on a website before. Buttons, cards, carousels, drop downs, input groups, nav bars. You've heard of that before. And what you could do is basically click on any one of these, and it gives you the code to make whatever you see above it. So we could get this beautiful looking nav bar just by copying and pasting this thing right here. Sweet. So how do we do this? How do we get this into our code? First, we go to home and we say get started. What we have to do is copy a few things into our own project. So we're going to copy this where it says CSS. And what this is all the CSS that they've written for us. So you can copy and then put it above your own style sheet. So you're putting it right above yours. Now, if you go back to Bootstrap, you also have to get this JS. So there's these three links right here. Copy those and then put those right above your JavaScript. All right. Oops. Okay. So you might be saying to yourself, what did we just copy in? You could actually look at it. It's no secret. This is open to the public. If you were to take this, oops, and you were to actually say what this href is, like what are we actually copying into our project? You can go to this website, and what you would see is this. Tons of CSS, thousands of lines of CSS that has been pre-written for you. So this is a lot of things that will make a lot of your the things on your website look pretty. So if you look really close, you'll see it kind of looks a lot like CSS, but like kind of smushed together. See, I see a font there. So how do we use it? Now that we've got the CSS and JavaScript and all that code that they wrote for us into our own project, because that's always step one, now we can start using it. And today what we're trying to design is a professional looking website in less than 10 minutes. So what we're going to try to do is make this Microsoft website. So it's got a nav bar. It's got this thing right here that we call a splash, right? It's that like when you arrive at the website, you see what it is. It's got some cards, and it's got what I like to call a Jumbotron here. And then some more cards, and it kind of repeats from there. But we're going to get all of these things into our website, and hopefully it looks something like what this looks like. All right, so the first thing we need is this nav bar. All right, so let's try to get a nav bar. What we're going to do is we will go into our components, and we'll go down to nav bar. And what you'll do is just look for a good nav bar. So let's see. Oh, that looks like a great nav bar, right? It's gray. It's got some things in it. Let's just copy and paste this code. Take that, go inside of your body, and I'm just going to put a note here for you guys to have a bit. This is my nav bar. All right, I'm just going to put this note here. You don't have to do that, but I just want people to know. And if you copy and paste it, boom, now we got our nav bar. I'm just going to indent a little because I like things looking nice. And now if you were to look at this website, hey, look, we got a nav bar. Now remember, we want this to look more like this Microsoft one. So what I want to do is maybe let's change a few of these things. It says Office, Windows, Surface, Xbox. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this a little bit. So where it says nav bar, let's say Microsoft, so we know the company. Where it says home, we want that to be, well, let's look at the website again. It'll say Office, Windows, Surface, Xbox. Office, Windows, Surface, and Xbox. So instead of the pre-written ones, we have now edited it to be Office, Windows, Surface, and Xbox. Nice. So it's looking pretty good. It's looking somewhat like that. You might say like, well, maybe we should get the Microsoft logo. That's not too hard to do. All you have to do is scroll up a little, and where it says logos, you'll see that it has this part with the nav bar. Just grab this right here. All right, where from A to A. All right, copy that, and then put that right under the nav on yours. And you might be saying like, yo, you're moving too fast. Just pause the video. And you'll see here that there's no picture there. but that's because we have to change the source. So let's go get the Microsoft logo. Okay, bing, bang. That's a nice logo. We'll copy image address, and we could just put that in for our source. All right. Okay, now if we look here, there it is. Now, once again, it's a little bit too small. So there's these two things that says width and height over here. You could just edit these to make it look a little nicer. So instead of 30 pixels by 30 pixels, you could do 100 by 80. And I think that will look a little bit nicer. So that will send the width and height. So not bad, right? It's a little different, but looks pretty good for just a few minutes. You got a nav bar just like that. Okay, so let's add a little bit more. The next thing you want to add is this thing called the splash. So if you go to the Microsoft website, you'll see that right here, there's usually a splash on most professional websites that kind of says, this is what our company does. We do computers, right? You should know it very quickly. So if you go to like a website like, let's say stockx.com, and you land there, you should be like, what do you guys do? And if a second, be like, oh, okay, you do shoes. Or if you go to a website, I don't know, like the Met. The Met? I don't know. You can see what they have. And oh, like, what do we have here? Oh, it's like an old place where I can look at some art, it looks like, right? Oh, it's a museum. Carvel, I don't know. I don't know how to spell Carvel ice cream. But we can go to Carvel ice cream. And when you land there, what are you going to see? Oh, ice cream. So you'll notice that there's these things called splashes that just kind of like tell you what the website is or what that company does. So for the Microsoft, they have these right here with the computers. But they also have this little fancy thing where you'll see that if you click this button, it's actually like a carousel, we call it, where it kind of goes from like, image to the next image. So we can get a carousel pretty easily by just going down to this thing called carousel right here. And if we go and you slide through it, you'll see there's all these kind of different carousels. And I like this one because it has like the sliders and it has like it tells you what picture you're on. So we're going to copy and paste this carousel right here. And we're going to put that in our code. So end of nav bar. You don't have to write this. Once again, these are just notes. And then we're going to say carousel starts here. I just do this because the code becomes a little bit crazy if you don't like put some notes to yourself. So once again, we copy and paste that in. That's the carousel that I just copied. And if you see here, well, there's nothing there. The reason is because you need to put some images in it. And you'll see there's these 3 image tags. 1, 2, and 3. And you'll see they don't have a source. So we have to add those pictures in. You notice once again also there's 3 pictures here. We only need 2 for the Microsoft website. They have 1, 2. They only have 2 different pictures. So let's delete one of these. Now obviously if you need more of them, you could add some, right, by copying and pasting it. But we just need 2, so we'll just have 2 carousels. All right, 2 carousels. So we go to assets. I've actually already preloaded these for you. You're going to copy this. You'll get the first one, copy that. Put it in for the first source inside the quotes. Go back to assets, copy the second one, put that in for your second source. And now our 2 images will be, let's see, we got image number 1 and image number 2. Looks kind of professional, right? Looks really good. Now you might notice that there's like these gutters on the side, right? These 2 like margins here. And that's why ours doesn't look perfectly the same. So we can actually add a little bit of margins to this 2 sides of our carousel. What to do is grab the ID, which is already here. So we'll take this ID. Oh, calm down. We'll copy and paste this ID. And we'll say hashtag this in our styles. We'll just say this, margin left, 50 pixels. Margin right, 50 pixels. And if we look back here, all right, it's looking pretty good, right? They got a little bit of margin. You might say like, oh, ours needs a little bit more. I don't know, whatever. We can do 60 if you're really particular about it. All right, looks great. Now, the next part of this is to add what we call cards. Now, cards are really something that you'll see on a lot of websites. Now, if you go to like anything like, oh, that's an email. If you go to like yelp.com or stockx.com, you'll see that cards are featured in a lot of websites. They're just these things. They have like a picture and words. Like they're all over the place. You can find them anywhere. Well, guess what? Bootstrap has those cards. Now, for ours to look a lot like this, we need 4 cards. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down. And you'll see this card with like that just says image and some text. We're going to take this. We're going to copy it 4 times into We'll write under our carousel. So we're going to say put cards here. So we'll say cards go here. Oops, that's not it. We'll go. And then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's make this prettier. Let's format it up. Okay, looks good. Now, once again, if you went to our page, you'll see two things that are wrong. One, there's no images, and two, they stack on top of each other. Like we want them, well, let's see, to go in 4 different columns. Now, how do you think we can get these to go in some columns? All right, we can make a grid. So let's first add the images, and then we'll make the grid. I'm going to actually have to ask you to do this a little bit by yourself. So I have the images here. All you're going to have to do is click it, copy it, and I'd like you to add these in all the images. So you'll see here image, just delete this out for the first image, copy it. And can you do these for all the rest and meet me back here? I know that's a quick cut. And so you should have these 4 images placed in there, and you should have them stacked up like this. So now the part is, how do we get them to go next to each other? Well, I'm glad you asked. What we have to do is just put a grid around this. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a wrapper. So we're going to say div with an ID equal to wrapper. Okay. And take this closing div, right? We want to put it all inside. These 4 cards have to be inside of our wrapper. So we're going to put that right here. So now all 4 cards are inside our wrapper. Now we have to go to style, and we do hashtag wrapper. And this is all we have to say. We have to say, let's say display grid. Okay. Let's say grid column, grid template columns. Let's give it 1 FR, 1 FR, 1, FR, 1 FR, 1 FR. And then we'll just say grid gap, because we want a little grid gap of 10 pixels. All right, we'll take a look now, and ooh, look at this. Now we have 4 cards right next to each other. We're getting close. But once again, there's the margins on the side, and there's a little bit of margin over here. So there's a little bit of margin on the top and margins on the sides. So we can add that by pretty easily by just going like this. Margin top, let's give it 50 pixels. Margin left, let's give it 60 pixels like we did last time. And then margin right, let's give it another 60 pixels on the other side, and you'll see that it looks like perfect now. So if you look at these two, it's looking pretty close to each other, right? Maybe better. I think ours is looking better than the Microsoft website. All right, the last thing I kind of want to do, and this is, well, 2 last things. One, you'll see that there's a border around these cards. I want to get rid of those. So you see how there's no border around these. It's pretty simple to do. You'll see that each one of these cards has a class of card. All we have to do is this dot card. So we're going to call that class and just say border, and we'll just say none. And you'll see that that takes away those borders. I know you're like, is that the professional one or is that the? And now it's looking pretty sweet, right? Looks good. The last thing I want to show you is that sometimes they have these things called Jumbotrons, or like this big place where like, now it's a div that shows you like one big thing that they want to highlight. These are usually called Jumbotrons. And we're just going to grab one from here. So once again, you go to Jumbotron. You'll see that they have them right here. This one says hello world. We'll just copy this. Okay. We go to index. And underneath our cards, so we're going to put this once again right between our last div and the body. I'm going to say Jumbotron here. Here we go. Copy and paste our Jumbotron. Okay. Just going to highlight this a little bit. Sorry, format it a little. If we look here, well, now we got a Jumbotron. Now there's a few things I want to do with this Jumbotron. I want to give it a little bit of space between the two, and let's change the wording a little bit, but it's pretty straightforward. So you see the class is Jumbotron. So we'll just go dot Jumbotron. Let's do margin left, 60 pixels, margin right, 60 pixels. We'll do margin top, 50 pixels. And now let's take a look at that. Let's reload it. Oop, I must have spelled Jumbotron wrong. Jumbotron. Spelling, it's always the spelling. You'll see here. Looks good. So that's the professional one. That's this one. So this one says do more with Windows. We can just go here. We'll say do more with Windows. Do more with Windows. Now you could look into how to change the colors so they're black. I'm running out of time. I only have 7 seconds left. But for just that amount of time, Not bad. Bye!